We are back on It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati. Lindsay Patterson, Mike Santagata here. Mike, how are you?
Look, I got no complaints outside of football related things. And I will say this: if you are a fan of any team that is not playing against or not a fan of the Bengals, this has got to be the greatest show on earth. They are the only team going out there hitting the overs every week, putting up these historic offensive numbers. And yeah, it stinks if you were a Bengals fan watching this game, at least towards the end and the beginning. There was a middle part there that was kind of fun. But if you're a fan of like the Jags and this team, your team stinks. They're in turmoil. It looks like a lost season. It's got to feel pretty good to be like, oh, the Bengals are in an island game. This is going to be fun football. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I know at least one team's going to be having some fun in this game.
No, it's funny you say that. I saw on Twitter, somebody had tweeted, they said, man, I just need the Bengals to be an automatic bid for the playoffs just because they're fun to watch. Can you just put them in, even though they're
on both sides too?
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. We'll get to the game in just a moment, but yeah. Cincinnati Bengals. And the thing is, it was announced today. We obviously knew that the game against Dallas is going to be on Monday Night Football, and it was announced today that it cannot be flexed out of Monday Night Football.
Simpsons.
Related. Yeah, it's Simpsons, because they have all the graphics and the voiceovers. Mm-hmm. So we have to watch that on Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Dallas Cowboys. And I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. But so far, Bengals on prime time.
I got two fun things with that. One is can't wait for next Thursday for Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito on Thanksgiving, 4:00. I know my nap window is set for Thanksgiving. Two, the Bengals undefeated on these gimmick Monday Night Football. Can you remember the only other game?
Monday Night Football at home against the Steelers.
Muppet Night Football, thank you.
And they won.
They thought that game was going to be so bad that the Steelers are going to beat the Bengals so bad. They called that Muppet Night Football. They tried to put a gimmick around it and everything. The Bengals won. I mean, that does seem like a game the Bengals should just win, because like we've noticed, as bad as we say this defense is, when they play against a bad quarterback, their run defense is good enough to stifle those offenses. It's when they play against a competent quarterback that they just get trounced, and it happened again. And they were good for a quarter and a half, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get to that game right now. It's absolutely crazy. We'll just start out with the first half, because if you would have told me after Justin Herbert was perfect, he was like 7-7, 150 yards in the first half, and told me that he was going to have 59 before that last TD, I would have said, you didn't watch this football game at all. That is not going to happen. It's going to get really embarrassing. I thought they were going to have 40, 50 plus at that point, because the defense just couldn't make a stop. They didn't even have to run the ball in the first half, because Justin Herbert was going after Cam Taylor-Britt, who got benched, and we'll get to that in just a moment. This defense was embarrassing in the first half. And then in the second half, obviously, I don't even know if I can say it's encouraging, because it's just been such a disappointment all season long. But I want to start with the defensive side of the ball at first, because Cam Taylor-Britt, he got benched. Not surprised. I feel like it's happened before, just a little bit in Carolina, and then he ended up going back out there. He obviously had to come back on in the second half to the DJ Turner interview, which reports are saying that he's out for the season, and that's really disappointing when you think about Dax Hill is out for the season, and now DJ Turner more than likely will be. He's getting a second opinion. But can we start with Cam Taylor-Britt? What is happening, and can he be saved?
Yeah. I want to back up for just 1 second. Do you know what game this game reminded me of?
This year?
No. 2021, actually.
No.
The Chiefs championship game. And the only difference is they didn't make the kick. Because you're talking about a putrid defensive performance for a half that I thought they were going to get blown out in. Against an AFC West opponent. Good quarterback. And then the second half, that other offense starts turning the ball over. The quarterback can't make any plays. Justin Herbert went from like a top 199 percentile EPA per play to, I think, negative EPA per play just because of that second half. That's the same thing happened to Mahomes. So much just reminded me of that. The difference was, the only difference in this game for me, and also Burrow escaping every single sack, like guys just having him in their arms and he just rips out of it, runs down the line of scrimmage and throws a dart. The only difference is McPherson missed every kick, every clutch kick, because they had a chance to win the game. McPherson missed it. Had a chance to win the game. McPherson missed it. And I know it's not all on him. You could talk about Burrow missing that touchdown to Jamar Chase. One thing you could talk about, and we won't get there yet, but Jamar Chase also dropped a first down on third down. Yeah. Like, it's not just Burrow. Like, Burrow also found a first down there that should have took them past the 2-minute warning, being able to bleed more clock, but Chase dropped it. But I'm not blaming them, because you've got a kicker that you have paid a lot of money, give him his extension already, and he goes out there and he loses you the game. He misses 2 huge kicks there. That's tough. But yeah, Cam Taylor-Britt, to get back on track, salvageable, yeah, because I've seen him play better. I think he got a little overhyped by the fan base. I heard people calling him like Pro Bowler and whatever. It's like, well, like, to me, he was always like solid starter. I never even felt comfortable with seeing like, yeah, he's the cornerback 1. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna take the tough assignment. No, like, I didn't really want that. Like, because I've seen him against guys that can move really well before, and it doesn't go well. Like, watch the Ravens game from last year, or this year, but last year, the one where Burrow got hurt, and you'll see him struggle a lot before he gets injured against guys that can shift and move. I think that's just, it stops you from being like a guy, unquestioned corner that could travel around and follow people. DJ Turner was playing really well for his injury, but Cam Taylor-Britt can be saved. He's going to hit the field probably. I can't imagine you finally bench him after 11 weeks of pretty poor play, get some good play from Josh Newton, and then you're going to move to DJ Ivy after this. Like, I think Cam Taylor-Britt goes right back out there after this game.
No, they're going to call Xavier Howard and say, guess what? We have a spot for you on the 53-man.
Well, yeah, I guess when Turner hits IR, maybe Xavier Howard won the negotiation, because they'll call him up and let him start. But no, I think he's salvageable. He doesn't have like the fluidity in his hips to me to be something special, but he never needed that the past 2 years, because he was so physical. He played smart. That's the big difference for me, is he was so smart and always in position the last 2 years, especially last year. Like, that was his calling card, to be like, yeah, he might not be the best athlete. He's a great straight line athlete, but he might not be the best side to side athlete. But when they're playing zone coverage and he's got eyes on the quarterback, think of the pick he had against Josh Allen twice. Think of, man, there's a lot of plays you can point back to, where the Cardinals game, where he's rotating back to the deep half, sees his quick game, and then gets an interception for a touchdown. Always so smart, always knows what his role is in the defense, the cog in the machine. And this year it hasn't been that. Like, he is consistently in quarters coverage getting smoked, doesn't know where his help is, doesn't play like he has, or plays it like he has help when he doesn't. And then this game, what finally got him benched, I would put the first touchdown on him more than I would Stone. I'd actually put it on Anarumo if I had to put it on somebody, because the call in that situation from him is just paper, and the offense threw scissors. You were throwing, you're throwing out something that's just designed to get beat by this specific concept from the offense. That happens in a football game. Now, I think the corner was the one who could make the play on it. But either way, the play that got him benched, they're playing cover 3, and everybody's passing off these deep crossers. You'll see it if you watch the play. I posted it. Turner points and Stone points. They're pointing to pass these things off. I've seen Stone take some heat for this. He's not in the wrong on this play. That's not his responsibility. He almost makes a play on it because he's trying to cover up for Cam Taylor-Britt, but that's not his responsibility. They both point. They're passing everything off. Cam Taylor-Britt never points to pass off his crosser. DJ Turner takes his crosser, and then he just ends up kind of like standing in no man's land, not covering anyone. And it's too much ground for Wilson to cover, especially coming off play action. It was supposed to be Taylor-Britt's guy. I would bet $100 based off everything that happened. 1, he is supposed to pass that off, and 2, not everybody else is wrong and he's right, because he tried to take that and match up with it, and it didn't seem like he knew that he did the wrong thing until he saw Turner take his guy and went, oh no, and the ball went over his head for a touchdown. So that he was benched after that. So I think that tells you who was wrong on that play.
Yeah,
and it's tough, because like, if he can get back to just being smart and playing good football, yeah, he could be a pretty good corner. But that's the biggest issue because the physical limitations have always been there. I think some of his eye discipline is, his press, his jam hasn't been as good, but he could still be like passable if he was just like always in the right position, still just getting beaten man coverage. He's getting beaten every coverage right now though, and you can't have that.
Yeah, and you want to see more out of him because he's going to be on the field now. And it obviously is still a factor in the second half when he had to go back on the field for that very short period of time when DJ Turner was out. He's got to get better. And I think not to get too far into the offseason because this team still has to play football games. And we're going to talk about them. Look, they're out of the playoff picture. They're not going to make it. If they find a way, then you can come back to this, but they're not. They're just not good enough. They can't close games. I don't trust them to go on a 6-game win streak to close out the season. They are what they are, and this is where they're at in the season. There's a lot of what ifs, but defensively, I think the biggest thing that this team could possibly do going forward, because they're not going to think that they're out of it until they're mathematically out of it, because that's just how a team works. But you need to play your youth. You're going to play Josh Newton because you don't really have a choice now. And it's good because Josh looked good when he was out there getting those reps. Yeah. You got to think of the safety room. Dejon Anthony, Jordan Battle, maybe less Geno Stone, maybe less Von Bell. McKinley Jackson was obviously out there more. Sheldon Rankins was not playing because he was dealing with an illness. He hasn't really been an impact player, and some feel like they're using him a little bit out of position. Myles Murphy, want to see more of Myles Murphy. We're still saying that after last night's game and Sam Hubbard and everything that was happening on the defensive side of the ball. Talk about Sam Hubbard.
It's the worst I've ever seen him play. This game, I know the Puff piece came out about how he's fighting through a hamstring injury that's holding a season. It'd be a season ender for most other players. This should be a season ender if this is the performance you're putting out. Like, go get the surgery. Like, this is it's bad. It's not even just as a pass rusher anymore. Like, this game, he got taken to the woodshed by their tight end fullbacks, and that's in pass protection too. He got pancaked. I think if you, as an edge rusher, knew you were about to get a fullback about to work across the formation and block you one-on-one with no help, most pass rushers' eyes would light up like a jackpot on a slot machine. Like, oh my God, this is the opportunity, and go try to destroy that. He got pancaked by the fullback in one-on-one pass protection. Not right away. Not like he just came and hit him real hard and knocked him over. No, he tried to throw a move out. He tried to rip move, and then the fullback just knocks him over and finishes on top of him. It was incredible. He wasn't good as a run defender. The worst play of the game from him came, there's a run opposite of him. He's unblocked. And as an unblocked defender, his responsibility is contain and pursuit and anything that could come back, like reverses, end arounds, whatever, like anything that could come back his way, boots. He's responsible for that. Okay, none of that's happening. The running back has the ball. This is a run. He knows that. He's working down the line. Instead, and Chris Jenkins does a nice job and gets an arm on him. He's trying to bring the ball carrier down. Instead of, hey, let me go wrap up the ball carrier's feet. Let me go hit the ball carrier. Let me go try to punch the ball out. Something productive. He pushes the backside guard. And we know what that guard, dominoes happened. He knocks over Jenkins. The running back doesn't fall over, and Hubbard's in no position to make the play as the running back runs right where he's supposed to be. It was incredible. I've never seen him play this poor, because it's getting to like that. That is like a mental thing. That is a fundamental of football. Like, see ball, get ball at that point.
That's not an injury thing.
No. The hamstring has spread to his brain like a cancerous tumor? I don't think so. So he's just go up there and just hit the ball carrier. Why are you hitting a guard? Why are you just hitting the guard on the backside? Did he think that the guard would knock over the running back? I don't know. Did he just have beef with the guard? Maybe that's something. But I don't know. But what I do know is he should have been making a play on the ball carrier instead. It was insane to see how bad it was in this game. Multiple times, they didn't have to worry about him whatsoever in pass protection. They would block with 6, and they just left the fullback tight end on him. Not in a chip and then just for the guard to come get him, or not in a chip release and tackle gets. No, not even in a chip and the running back gets him. It was literally They knew when 94 is out there, we can get to pass protections where we can have 5 offensive linemen against 3 defensive linemen, and the tight end fullback will be fine. They didn't do that to Murphy. They didn't do that to Osai. They knew who they could do that to. That's all I'll say about this is I think he's starting to get game plan to be attacked. If he's not going to be able to defend the run, if he's not going to be able to rush the passer, why is he out there? Why is he getting double the snaps of Murphy? I don't even think Murphy played particularly well in this game. This was an opportunity that I thought, let's see what he's got. He didn't get very many pass rushes again, but in the ones he did get, he didn't really convert them into anything in this game. He had 1 listed pressure, which Hubbard, once again, a 0. Not surprising. Probably a 0 win rate or whatever stat as well. Not surprising. But it's just it's frustrating to see this. And like I know Stone isn't playing that well either. The difference between like moving from Stone or Bell, because they've been pulling Bell and putting in Battle. The difference in moving from Stone to Anthony is a lot different to me, because moving from Hubbard to Murphy, this is a first round pick that you made that you could be using. This isn't an undrafted free agent that's flashed like Anthony, or that they just liked in practice or whatever. This is a first round pick from last year, and they are not using him. Why? Because they're playing Sam Hubbard. And what is Sam Hubbard providing you production wise? Because I'm not talking about just put him out there, just get all the young guys out there, which I kind of like agree with, because I'm at the point where if they don't win, I'm not buying back into them unless they win like the next 3 or 4 games in a row, and then I'll buy back in. At the moment, they're dead.
They're dead. They're dead on the ground. They're dead.
Mm-hmm. So they're just, waiting for the result to come in to tell them they're officially dead, but they're lying down without a heartbeat right now to me. It's just the difference is like, this would probably help your production. This would probably help your defense. Like, I don't know if Anthony helps your defense. I'm pretty sure this would help your defense to put in guys that have some pass rush juice. And if he's going to be a bad run defender, then let these young guys learn about run defense.
I don't care how much money Sam Hubbard's making.
No?
Because I truly do think that is a factor in why we're seeing him out there. And obviously what he's done in the past. Look, I've said it before. I'm not trying to make this too much about Lou Anarumo, because the players need to execute. Lou Anarumo can only do so much. But at the same time, if Lou has a say on who's on the field, he needs to make that switch. Who made the switch for Cam Taylor-Britt? Who made that decision? Who was able to decide that? Because if he's allowed to make a Cam Taylor-Britt decision, and I know he's more of that secondary expert too, then you should be able to pull Sam Hubbard. Sorry.
Well, I definitely feel like the defensive coordinator has final say on who's in and who's out.
You would think. So who else am I supposed to point at when Sam Hubbard's getting these reps right now?
Yeah, the only fingers you can point to me are to Lou Anarumo and Marion Hobby.
Yeah.
Like, you two control who's on the field, like who's starting, who's out there. And it's just a microcosm of what I think Lou just loves the guy, first of all, probably as a person. But like, just think about it. Think about when he got asked about Murphy's snaps. All he brought up was Osai. Yeah, Osai's playing better than he has before. I think they're playing at about the same level, but if you prefer Osai, I don't see an issue with that. They're both playing better than Hubbard. So like, why didn't Hubbard come up? And there was no follow-up or whatever with that. But it's just kind of like, it's a blind spot, I guess. Like, maybe he just thinks Hubbard is the starter, and then I'm trying to find snaps for other guys. Like, no, why don't you make Hubbard the guy getting 10 snaps in a game? Yeah. It's tough to watch. It was really tough to watch because I like Sam Hubbard. I mean, I love a lot of the memories I have of him in a Bengals uniform. The Hubbard yard dash or rumble and jump, whatever you call that, and
turnovers
else he's done. The Dolphins game, one of the first games I went to as an adult was that Dolphins game where I think he had a pick 6 or something crazy like that on Ryan Tannehill. I have a lot of fond memories of him. This looked like a shell of himself, and honestly, there's a way out of it without benching him. Put him on IR. Put him on IR. If this hamstring is really bothering him, take it out of his control, and that might frustrate him. But if you want to save his pride, just put him on IR and just go, okay, look, you don't look right now. Like, I know you're trying out there or whatever. You don't look right. So we're going to put you on IR, and we're going to let the young guys play. This is like the one position they have depth, and they're not making the move.
I question why they not against Myles Murphy, because obviously was excited. I was like, okay, this makes sense. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, when is he going to play?
And
Is
then
he going to
you
play?
get all these extensions and everything else, and they trade Joe Mixon, but it didn't come up that why didn't they try to maybe trade Sam Hubbard too? Why didn't they try to cut Sam Hubbard? Because you
Now
do
you
have
can't.
an issue. Well, yeah, now you can't. You can't trade him for sure. You could cut him. You could cut him
You're
next
going to
year.
have that
You're gonna
conversation.
have to. You're gonna have to if he doesn't improve or whatever. That also gives you the excuse if you put him on IR, just be like, yeah, we'll bring him back at a reduced cost because whatever, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you have an issue. You have a log jam at edge, and like the guy isn't giving you anything that should be keeping people off of the field. He's the worst out of the rotation. He should be lower, but he keeps coming out as the number 2 guy in this rotation. It's tough to watch. It's just tough to watch. That's, I guess, the final takeaway on that is that was by far to me the worst game I've ever seen Sam Hubbard play, and it was hard to watch him.
So we're at the point, I'm going to flip the offense because I want to get to that, and then we'll talk special teams because we have to talk about Evan McPherson. But I think overall on the defensive side, so here's the realistic point of view. We'll hear from Zach Taylor tomorrow. He's going to do his weekly press conference tomorrow before they head out for the bye. You can only really make in-house changes going into the Steelers game. And this is the biggest one for me on the defensive side of the ball. We've talked about it over the last 2 podcasts. You have a good piece on Miles Murphy over on Bengals Talk and just kind of the Sam Hubbard breakdown of where he's at this season. It's not working out. If he's battling all these injuries, he's not helping the team. He's having one of his worst games. What more can you ask for right now and to make that move? So I think that needs to be what they need to focus on going into the Steelers game. Get Miles Murphy more reps out there. Obviously, Josh Newton's going to be out there to be determined on what the safety room looks like and if there's any other rotation of more of these young guys, more McKinley Jackson, more Chris Jenkins, just more of what you drafted to know what your youth and your future is, because that's my biggest criticism of this defensive coaching staff. You cannot develop guys, and that is a problem. I'm not even going to hammer their draft picks, but if you cannot develop the guys, your homegrown talent, that is an issue. And the message is extremely stale right now. Things that happened 3 years ago don't matter when it's almost 2025.
It's just different vibes too. Like 3
Ooh,
years
yeah.
ago, when they were going through their rut, like it didn't feel like this. This just feels so deflating. It's tough. The whole team is tough to watch, just like Hubbard. I'm with you. Like my biggest criticism of this defensive coaching staff is just that they play the guys that they like and maybe not the guys that should be out there. You're lacking athleticism. Maybe try a guy that's more athletic, in whether that's Anthony Battle or Akeem Davis-Gaither, who's getting a few more snaps a game, but it's just it's going to be the death of the coaching staff, this defensive staff. And with the guys that they're not developing, I agree with you there too. To me, Murphy was a bet on Hobby and his ability to develop a defensive lineman, and it hasn't happened. I think he looks the same as he did last year. There's some insane physical tools. I've talked a lot about his get off being one of like the 10 best in the entire NFL, and you're doing that at 270 pounds, and he's got long arms. It's like tools that guys would kill for. The only thing he doesn't have a ton of is bend. And other than that, it's a raw canvas to do whatever you want to do. There's a tiny bit of improvement, but it doesn't look like you've really started sculpting anything.
The criticism I get is, Lou's not getting his guys. They're not doing this. Do you know how much draft capital they've put towards the defense? And these younger guys, we still don't really know what we have. Now we know a little bit about DJ Turner, who was having a phenomenal game last game before he got injured.
Who was benched this year up until the Dax Hill injury. So we wouldn't have known if he could play because they probably wouldn't have pulled Cam Taylor-Britt off the field for him until this game.
No. And Dax Hill, he's going to be coming off an injury. Still fully don't know what he looks like, and he's first-round talent. So that, for me personally, is on the coaching staff. And no matter what happens this season, if they go 9-8 or they only win one more game from here on out, you've got to do an overhaul on your defensive side. We'll talk offense in just a moment, but defense needs a refresh, a new voice, new direction. Thank you for everything you've done, but it's time to move on. It's getting old right now, and you cannot bring the staff back next year. And I'm talking about defensive side because I'm realistic with where the Bengals front office is. Flipping to the offensive side right now, there's a lot of Joe Burrow missed this guy. You know what? He could have done this. For me personally, Mike, when Joe Burrow is playing almost near perfect with what he's dealing with his offensive line, no interior offensive line right now, two of the worst in the NFL, the worst actually. And the next worst one is Alex Kappa. So it's absolutely brutal for him.
Yeah.
You have a backup in Cody Ford, who pretty much didn't exist at one point, and Joe Burrow had to go on his own run, like a running back, and get the extra yards and a first down. And he was able to do it because he can scramble. But at the same time, Chase Brown was very productive last night with not having an interior offensive line. You get Jamar Chase out there. T. Higgins, obviously a phenomenal night for him. Good to see T back out there. But when you're number one in pretty much every category, it's really hard for me to put Joe Burrow in the blame game.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And it's like when Drew Brees would go 7-9 and 8-8. When it's a team sport. Like as much as we want to make like the quarterback not only the face but everything about a team, it's a team sport. Like Drew Brees, Hall of Famer, going 7-9, 8-8. That's not on him. And this season hasn't been on Burrow. This game wasn't on Burrow. You want to talk about clutch, missed this guy, whatever. He put them in position to win this game twice, and the kicker missed. That's where I am at with it. And if you want to talk about Herbert on the other side, clutching it out, getting this touchdown, they wanted to just kick the field goal. They lined up to run the ball and get a little closer. It just turns out the Bengals defense stinks, but we're done talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
They give up a touchdown on a play that just won a game 5 yards. But done talking about that. Burrow himself, I think the first half there was some missed opportunities. I saw a stat today though. Joe Burrow leads the league in yards lost by drops, something like that. But he's one of 3 quarterbacks who has more yards lost by drops than missed throws. I think that's where we are. Where he's played so well that the only things that are holding him back are the receiver's hands. And this happened a few times where Jamar Chase had 2 drops in this game. Burton drops in this game. Higgins didn't come down with that one ball in the back of the end zone. And like some of those were hard catches, but at the end of the day, he's putting the ball where it needs to be, and the receiver's letting them down a little bit at times. I think that Chase and Higgins are incredible. I think Burton is kind of showing you maybe why he was lower on the depth chart than fans wanted, including me. Is what it is. It's tough because when I'm watching Joe Burrow just perform out of structure nonstop with an offensive line that, once again, 50% pressure rate in this game to go with the 60% in the last game. And he's throwing the ball 50 times. So 25 pressures in this game. And I think he got hit probably on half of those. When that's happening, he's just getting hit play after play after play, and he's still making throw after throw to keep them in the game. I don't have the energy to then say, yeah, but he picked up a first down on this play, but he could have had a touchdown if he threw it. I'm just not there. I can't get there. Like, I also think he scored a touchdown that quick. Hey, they might just score their own. But where I am is just, if they would have made the field goals, I think they're at least put in a position to win the game. They didn't make the field goals. He drove them down the field. None of those were short fields. They were all within the 25 when they started. One of those started at the 14-yard line, and he drove them down for I think a less than 50-yard kick. That's all I'm asking. No other quarterback gets held to the standard of game-winning field goal. It should be game-winning touchdown. That doesn't happen anywhere else from what I've seen. Nobody's complaining about Mahomes or Allen getting the ball down the field and getting a game-winning field goal. Nobody would have complained about Herbert getting the ball down the field for that game-winning field goal. They would have said, wow, what a good drive from Herbert to get down there and kick the field goal and win the game. That happened twice. He did it twice. And they missed the first one. I thought they could still win. When they missed that second one, no shot. You're done. You can't miss 2 game-winning field goals and win the game. That's just too many opportunities you're losing out on. And again, no turnovers in this game from Burrow. Mike Hilton dropped interception. Tough. And then getting beat on a double move off of that play because they knew he was jumping it. Tough. Double tough on him. I still think he's probably their best corner so far this year. But that was a tough moment. Tough 2 moments. McConkey really kind of had him because he's a shifty guy that can move a little better than Hilton. But either way, when it comes to this offense, I thought the offense was good enough to win this game, like they have been in pretty much every game outside of Philly and New England. Those 2 games, I don't think they played well enough to win. Every other game, they could have won. And the defense, the special teams, everything just letting them down. And if they just had McPherson from last year or 2 years ago, they beat the Ravens and they win this game.
They have 7
And
wins probably.
yeah, you're talking about a team that's won quite a few games. McPherson right now, it's hard to make the case that he's not a bottom 5 kicker. And he hasn't been as good since 2021. This year's different because like last time I was saying he hasn't been as good. That's me, he wasn't elite. Like he was more average kicker, it seemed like, in the last 2 years. This year, it's bad. It's just bad. And I watched those kicks over again just to make sure laces out, was the snap and the hold, everything good. Like I can't, maybe there's something there that I just don't know because I don't coach special teams. When I'm watching that operation, it looked like the ball hit Rico right around the face mask, the chest area, and he got it down in plenty of time for McPherson to kick it, and he just pushed it the same way both times. I don't know what you do. Kicker's got the yips. If he didn't just get extended, I think he might get cut in season. And you can cut him and save $3 million for next year. So he's got to pull it together at least a little bit to keep his spot on the roster. Because 2021 playoff runs only going to take you so far.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Obviously, it is very easy to criticize Zach Taylor in a lot of moments. There are a lot of things I want to take from this offense in this game. Early on, I think a lot of people, and obviously I wanted the Bengals to score. And if you have a better interior, you probably can run the ball in the red zone in the first quarter and score a touchdown versus kicking a field goal. But they couldn't. Their interior was pushing them back versus pushing them forward when they only had a few yards to go. They're terrible in short yard situations. The Chargers do have one of the best red zone defenses. And the offense did a really good job against them for the most part. I almost said this, Mike, where I would rather the Bengals score outside of the red zone. They have a better opportunity versus getting into the red zone and trying to score because they were just so good early on in the first half. And obviously they couldn't get anything going. But for me overall, when I look at that, obviously Zach Taylor doesn't want to kick the field goal because you don't want to rely on Evan McPherson. You want the touchdown. You want to put a dagger in it. And then the worst that happens is the Chargers go down and score a touchdown, and maybe you go to overtime, or maybe you have another opportunity to get down the field and kick a field goal. But at the same time, you rely on your kicker. It's his only job to go out there and make that kick. You pay him to make that kick. And he wasn't able to do it twice because I want to be honest with you, Mike. When he missed it the first time, I said to myself, I do not trust him if he gets another opportunity. I was like,
I barely trusted him the first time he went out there with how bad he's been this year.
Yeah, it was just like, this is not going to work. If they're kicking the field goal, he's going to miss it. And it's absolutely brutal. And the only thing that I can think of the last half, these next 5-6 games, is he's got to go out there. You've got to give him opportunities. He has to at least, mentally get back into it. And then you're going to know what you have because you can cut him at the end of the season and it really won't impact them too much. But at the same time, it's just really disappointing because he was a weapon for them in his rookie year. Maybe they got to bring Clark Harris back. I don't know.
I don't know if Clark can do it. He was old when he got hurt.
They need something because I don't know if it's a mental thing.
Fine with Adamitis last year.
Yeah. I don't know.
Could it be Rico? But like at the same time, it's just when I watch it, I don't see anything wrong with Rico. Like maybe I need to like slow everything down or something. But I think it's just McPherson.
Yeah,
like we can point the fingers elsewhere, but I just think it's him. I think I don't know what it was. Maybe missing against Baltimore. Maybe that just really got to his head. I don't know. Maybe there's a miss before that I'm not thinking of, but there's something funky. And if he doesn't turn around, like, yeah, you're a cut candidate. And he might go on and be a great kicker somewhere else if they cut him. But with how bad it's been for the Bengals and the amount of money that he's slated to get, you're better off cutting bait and moving on if it's going to be this bad. If he can get to being like even just a below average kicker, I think you keep him and hope he plays better next season. But if it's this bad, I don't think you can keep him around. At least you have to bring in competition, have a real competition and see what happens. But Rico was really good in this game too. Since I did bring him
he's
up.
A weapon. Yeah. He really is a weapon, man. And there's so much about special teams that I question. I don't like Trent Irwin as a kick returner. It is absolutely terrifying. They gain
the punt returner, yeah.
Or the punt returner. I
trust that he catches the ball. I just don't think he can return it. It's kind of like I think Ben Tate probably had more juice to him. But like that was back when they had Pac-Man. But Pac-Man would never fair catch, so they would send Ben Tate out there for the fair catches. That's kind of what Irwin feels like, where it's like, he's kind of going out there. He's going to catch the ball.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's just so many things like just to kind of end this pod and going into the bye week, which it is harder when you go off of back-to-back losses like the Cincinnati Bengals did when they needed to have those games to kind of just stay in the playoff picture because again, it's like near impossible for them to pull this out. And maybe I'm trying to jinx them because of where they're at right now, but I just don't believe in them. They can't close out games. And all of that is on players. It's on situational coaching on both sides of the ball. You need to figure out how to close games, and they just haven't been able to do it all season. So I don't really see it changing anytime soon in one-score games. Their next opportunity is the Steelers. We'll talk about that next week. Obviously, it doesn't get easier for them when they have two against the Steelers, one coming up, and then one at the end of the season. Steelers are, I would say, a hot team defensively. Offensively, they do enough. They do enough to get it done, and they can kick field goals.
Oh, yeah.
So
hey, I had Boswell in fantasy this week. That was good. That was a good day.
24 points from them not scoring a touchdown at all in that game, but kicking field goals, and the Bengals couldn't make what could have been maybe the game winner was just like, oh my goodness.
Oh, the whole AFC North. Tucker missed a pair of field goals.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a stat. Probably end around this, but Boswell 6 of 6. Every other AFC North kicker this week 3 of 10.
So, Mike, any final words as bye week is approaching?
I think we could all use the break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine not watching them on Sunday. It's been bad. It's been heartbreaking. It's been tough to watch. There's a lot of issues. Use this bye week to self-reflect as the coaching staff and as fans. Just go enjoy good football or don't watch any at all. I'm not the boss.
I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna go try to watch like the best game I can find, and I've got the Sunday ticket, so I could just scroll around in the second quarter and see if there's anything close going on. I'm just hoping to see a good football. I'm hoping to see somebody else's Cincinnati Bengals, a nice scoring game that's back and forth. I don't know who's gonna win, and I have no investment in this though. That would be great. That's what I was saying earlier. Neutral fan would probably love the Bengals games. I need to go find the other Bengals of this league to go watch a game.
The Lions.
Well, no, the Lions are boring because they win 52-6.
They do. No, I agree with you. I kind of love the NFC games because I have no dog in the fight. I'm like, I don't care what happens. I just want to see a good football game. And the AFC ones, I'm kind of like, ooh, I kind of feel a little, but now it doesn't matter because the Bengals are in such a hole. But
yeah, there'll be like a rooting guide, and I will not care one bit.
You can't. What are you supposed to care about?
What do I care about? They're like right now, I don't think they make the playoffs. Why am I making this rooting guide? I don't care. I care about the Broncos losing. No, I don't
Not
have
anymore.
enough energy.
Not anymore. And they dominated against the Falcons. So I will say this last thing. It's unfortunate the hole they're in because it would be fun to see this Joe Burrow playing at an all-time high in January with house money. It would be so much fun to watch. And it's really unfortunate because I keep saying it week after week and it feels really stale, but Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Trey Hendrickson, they're putting everything out there and this team isn't delivering. And it's T. Higgins, like the stats are an absolute insane how it just doesn't work for the Bengals. But other teams, if they were put in that position, they find a way to win. And that is players, that's coaching, that's everyone. You've got to find a way to finish games. And obviously, we'll talk about next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers and what that will look like, but I don't feel too confident right now. I agree with you. Go enjoy some free time. Football isn't everything. It's supposed to be entertainment. Just relax.
Yeah, that too. Don't get on players' families on Twitter or whatever.
No.
Take a deep breath. Anytime you have a feeling that bad about an NFL game, go take a deep breath, walk outside. Realize there's more to life than this. This is supposed to be just for entertainment.
Yeah. So, as always, make sure you check out Mike's work. Mike, anything coming up over on Bengals Talk?
I have no idea because watching that game was tough.
Josh Newton?
Maybe Newton. Yeah, that was like the only thing I could think of that's like positive because I don't want to write a negative piece with how bad everybody feels. It was like maybe just go watch Newton, all of his snaps, and try to see if there's anything there. I thought he played pretty well, got targeted a few times. It's not enough snaps to make a big takeaway, but I thought he played pretty well given the circumstances.
All right, make sure you check that out. Mike always has really great recap clips, videos over on Twitter, Bengals_Sands. You can follow me at LNDS Patterson. Thank you as always for listening to It's Always Game Day in Cincinnati.